Coming into 2012, question number 8. Question number 8, subsection 1. What are the sources of comparative advantage? Sources in the sense, Lamai, what are the reasons? How come one country has the comparative advantage compared to another country? Can you all give me some reasons, Lamai? We learned this in MCQs also. What are the sources? You don't even have to explain. They're just asking what. Give me. We can start with what? The differences in factor endowment. No, you can say the change or the differences in the factor endowment. So factor endowment the differences in the amount of factors they have. No, some countries have a lot of factors of production. Some countries have a very little. Now, for example, why do you think China might be having the comparative advantage in manufacturing goods? Because they have so much of labor. Their labor is very cheap. Okay, so maybe that's the reason. Their factor endowment, their labor is very high. Then maybe differences in productivity. Okay, differences in factor productivity. Then you can also say Lamai, things like economies of scale. Maybe certain countries have economies of scale. That could be a reason. Maybe technological differences. Yes, you can also have Lamai. Maybe not. Don't put trade barriers. Really, we'll say government policies. Okay, we can put let's say government policies, right? Government policies. Then you can say Lamai even climate differences. Okay, climate differences can be a reason. Okay, differences you can word it nicely. Differences in the climate. Yes, product differentiation. Okay, that could be a reason. Product differentiation. Yes. The goodwill. Yes, can be certain answers. Yeah, goodwill. Differences in taste. Okay, all of this could be answers why in consumer taste, right? These all of these Lamai can be this. Yes, second one is the quality, factor productivity. Okay, all of these Lamai can be reasons for other sources of comparative advantage. I guess in other words, Lamai, what does sources of comparative advantage mean? Or they can even reword this question. They can ask you, why do countries have comparative advantage? How does now maybe they can even give you an example, Lamai. Now they have not tested this before, but they can give you a practical example. Now you know the calculation, comparative advantage calculation. They can give you some numbers and ask, okay, who has the comparative advantage, who should specialize, and then they'll ask based on your answer, what are the reasons that let's say Sri Lanka has the comparative advantage for this. So then these are the sources, Lamai. So sources for comparative advantages, it's also the reasons why a country has a comparative advantage. Remember, Lamai, in your paper now, අහන්න පුළුවන් ඔක්කොම අහලා තියෙන්නේ. Okay, everything possible they have tested. So what they will do now is the same answer. To get the same answer, they will change the question. I'm telling this not just for unit number 9, for anything. What they will try to do now is, you should not panic at that moment. You should not be like, this fellow never taught me, my sir didn't teach me, this was not there in my school. Not. They are teaching you the same thing, right? Especially for econ. Because now, if you take econ practical stuff, they can change. But the theories are the same, Milamai. Now, scarcity, who are these fellows? Now, even let's say comparative advantage, Lamai, was found by who? This Adam Smith and these fellows in the 1800s, right? So for the last 100 odd years, whatever exam, comparative advantage is the same number. If you take comparative advantage, if you do the papers from the year 2000, I have past papers from 1998. When I go through, same thing, no change. So from 1998, that is 25 years ago. From 1998 to now, comparative advantage hasn't changed, Lama. So the only way that they can test something new is they will change the way they ask it. There is the final answer they can't change because theory is the same. So just have that in mind now, especially economics theories. You all don't learn modern theories now. In reality, lama economics is way more modern than this. Right? There is this modern monetary theory which Cabral was trying to do, where he said where printing money doesn't really affect inflation, right? It has worked in certain countries. Now, usually, what do we learn? We learn something called the quantity theory of money. Unit number 7. When money supply goes up, price level goes up. There are more modern stuff now where you talk about the modern monetary theory, where when you print money, it doesn't really affect let's say price level. So those and stuff not in your syllabus. I don't know when they will talk about those. So that is the flaw in our syllabus. We can't blame that, no. So you all remember most of these theories, apart from your current context issues, they will change and ask. We'll see. Okay. Right. That is question 8, part 1. Is that it, Lamai? Can you someone reconfirm? 2012, part 2, part 3, part 4, whatever. Is anything from unit number 9? 2012. Is that it? Is everything else unit 10? For this question, 4 marks, even if you write 4 points, is enough. Differences in taste, Lamai, can now, for example, we'll take, let's say, okay, let's say, for example, even Sri Lankan tea. Okay. Now, maybe Sri Lankan tea has a unique feeling, let's say. So no matter where other countries, they, let's say, produce tea, okay, because people like our tea, right? It gives a different kind of feeling. They still buy our tea. That's why we have the comparative advantage. Maybe even, let's say, this Lama. Now, if you take motor vehicles, Japan might have the cheaper motor vehicles. Let's say, for example, things like the Toyota and all. But still, why do we, let's say, buy vehicles like the Mercedes Benz, the BMW, the European vehicles? Because differences in taste. Maybe that could be a reason now. Right. Okay. Are there a few questions from outside? Let me go back to the past papers. Let's get some questions. The third one, well, 2012 question paper. Mm, this one. Yeah, good one. This one, Lamai, is on this one, Lamai, I'll come to this terms of trade, balance of trade. I'll come to it in unit number 10. Balance of trade is in unit 10. Terms of trade, yes, is in unit number 9. Since I have not put it in the paper also, we'll do it in unit number 10. World Trade Organization also will do it in unit number 10. That's the multilateral financial organizations, IMF, World Trade Organization. The World Trade also, you can, it's ideal unit number 9, but we'll study the organizations part in unit 10, since I have not put anything else. Well, BOP, no. Managed floating exchange rate, no. Okay, right. We'll go back. This 2012 is done. We'll move into 13 then. 12 is done. Let me end this recording.